Hello everyone, welcome back to the Freedly's channel. Today we have a beautiful new pattern called Elizabeth. You can find it on freedlys.com and I also linked it down below. This is the tutorial for the Elizabeth dress. If you want to see how to make the top variation, you can see the link down below in the description of the video. The first step is to sew the darts. I like drawing them first over each pattern piece. It makes the process so much easier and faster. Now that your darts are ready, you need to sew the front and back panels together. Do this for both the lining and the main fabric. I use the same fabric for both lining and main panels, but you can use a different lining fabric. And don't forget to press open your seams. Moving on to the skirt panel, pin together the front and the two back panels. You are going to stitch all over the sides of the skirt, leaving a 1 cm seam allowance. Don't sew over the center back. That's where the zipper will go. The same goes for the upper panel. Serge or zigzag stitch both seam allowances. In this case, I'm using my sewing machine to do a zigzag stitch. As you can probably tell by now, your skirt panel is huge. That's because we need to gather the waistline. To do this, we need to do a gathering stitch. Set your machine to a straight stitch with the highest length and a low tension. We are going to do 2 gathering stitches all over the waistline. They should both be about 5 mm apart. Grab the upper thread from each gathering stitch and start pulling. Make sure to not pull too hard and take your time. Remember, the waistline needs to match the length of the waist of the upper panel. That means that when you're going to sew the upper and lower panel together, they're going to be the same length. When joining both panels, make sure to leave a 1 centimeter seam allowance. After that stitch is ready, you can now take off the gathering stitches. It shouldn't be too hard to remove. Let's move on to the sleeves. According to the notches on the pattern, on the wrong side of the sleeves, you need to draw a line with any fabric marker you have from one edge to the other. This is where the elastic will go. After that, make sure to hem both of the sleeve panels. I folded 1 centimeter up twice. Now fold the sleeves in half and stitch all the side seams. Leave a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Make sure to do a zigzag stitch or serge through the seam allowance. Following that line we made, you're going to pin and stitch the bias tape along the entire length of the line. Make sure not to stitch the open edges closed. Now we're going to insert the elastic through the bias tape. First, make sure the elastic is the length you wanted it to be. Just measure it around your arm to make sure it's not too tight. I cut mine 20 centimeters long. To fit the elastic in, you can use a safety pin or a clip like I'm doing in the video. Once the elastic is out on the other side, stitch both edges of the elastic together and close the opening we left on the bias tape. Now it's time for the zipper. Place the dress with the right side of the center back seam facing up. Okay, so now grab your invisible zipper and unzip it. You are going to align the edge of the invisible zipper with the center back. You just have to make sure that the right side of the zipper faces down onto the right side of the fabric. And then just pin it in place as I'm showing you in the video. Now you just have to switch your sewing machine to the zipper foot and start stitching as close as possible to the teeth of the zipper. Now that side of the zipper is ready, you're going to close it up, and with a fabric marker, you're going to mark right where the zipper meets the waistline. That will help you match that side of the zipper with its corresponding side of the center back. Stitch that side as you did the other one. I totally forgot to serge the center backs before attaching the zipper, so I did it here, but you can also do it before attaching the zipper and it'll be so much easier. Now, to finish off the zipper, you just have to sew the entire center back seam together, starting at the bottom of the zipper where you finished sewing and attaching the zipper itself. Now you just have to serge or zigzag stitch the entire waistline. That seam is not going to show, but we want it to be as neat as possible. After you have tried on the dress and made sure it fits properly, you can now cut any excess zipper. Now we're going to attach the lining to the main panel. Place both panels right sides facing and start pinning all around the center back and both the front and back neckline. Now, using your pins as a guide, you're going to sew all over it, leaving a 1 cm seam allowance. Make sure not to stitch over the zipper teeth. Remember to skip the arm size. Now the lining is attached to the dress and you can trim the corners. Flip the dress inside out and we're going to understitch all over the neckline so the lining won't come out. Remember that to understitch, you have to sew that lining with the seam allowance. Do not stitch over the main panel. This is how it should look. You can see that you see the stitches on the lining, but not on the main panel. To finish attaching the lining, we just have to fold 1 centimeter in on the waistline and stitch in the ditch from the outer panel. We're almost done, we just have to attach the sleeves to the dress. Take the sleeves panels that you have prepared and align the raw edge of the sleeves with the armhole opening. Remember to make sure that the right side of the sleeve is facing the right side of the dress. And pin them just as you're seeing in the video. Stitch them together by leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. And finish the raw edge with a serger or a zigzag stitch. Now to actually make them puffy sleeves, you're going to make the elastic casing in the sleeve cap. You have to fold the sleeve cap over 1 centimeter towards the wrong side of the sleeve. I like folding it up twice so it's a little bit more secure, but you can do whatever you want with that and start pinning it and stitch it. That's how you create the tunnel where the elastic will go through. Insert the elastic the same way as we were doing the one before. Remember to measure your arm to know how tight you want it to be. After inserting it, you just have to sew a few stitches to secure the elastic in place. And finally, the last step is to hem your dress. You're finally done with your Elizabeth dress. Remember, if you send us reviews or pictures of how it came out, you'll receive a 40 to 60% discount on your next pattern order. If you want to see more of our patterns and more of our videos, please check our social media and our website. You can find all of those links on the description down below.